Okay. Hi, welcome to the Entrepreneur's Journey, where we interview real entrepreneurs with real stories to learn what owning a business is really like. Today, we're going to be talking to Russell Kim, an EOS implementer, to find out more about the winding road that has led him to where he is today. Russell is a lifelong entrepreneur with over 40 years of experience starting and growing various businesses from commercial real estate, retail cycling to Audio Dimensions, which was a custom audio video business here in Oklahoma City. He started his EOS journey in 2017 when he implemented EOS into Audio Dimensions and raised sales by 30% and his bottom line from 10% to 24%. He then went on to successfully sell Audio Dimensions to a private equity group in 2019 for, I think, 6 times operating profit. Is that correct?
6x, yes.
And that was an unheard of feat in the AV industry. He is the recipient of the OKC Metro 50 Award 9 times, has been a YPO member since 2004, and serves as a board member for various nonprofit organizations. Welcome, Russell. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tracy. Glad to be here with you.
Yes, we're glad to have you. Tell us about yourself and your business. I did the intro, but you tell us in your business.
Well, thank you for that. You covered a lot of ground. Audio Dimensions, I started that business in 1985, started selling turntables and amplifiers and exotic speakers. And it quickly grew from there to home theater. When audio and video got married together in the 90s, the business really started to take off, and then home theater became a thing in the 90s and the 2000s. And we really saw an explosive growth when home automation became more mainstream and everybody wanted more control in their home. And then we took that opportunity to expand with multiple locations. At one time, we had 10 stores in 4 states, and we had about 100 employees at one time. And it was very exciting to be running a business that's growing at that rate. Yes.
For sure. I'm not sure some of our younger viewers might know what a turntable is.
Right. Well, actually, it's coming back. Records, there's record, the album sales have actually grown on double digits for several years in a row. So it's growing.
I have a nephew who got involved in the LPs because they said the sound quality was so much better.
Well, actually it is. And so, but you have to be an audiophile. I mean, the setup of a turntable, I don't want to get too deep in it, but It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It sounds great. You just got to be careful in how you handle both the turntable and the LPs. So,
yeah. And then Grandpa was super excited to pull out the old record player to play. That was Christmas one year. Anyway, focus. So tell us I love your story. Tell us how you became an entrepreneur. What made you?
So I've been a lifelong entrepreneur, really, because my entrepreneurial story starts really when I was just 9 years old. Our family moved here from South Korea in 1971. I was just 9 years old. I was in 3rd grade. We moved to Oklahoma City, and none of us spoke English. And so I was able to speak English relatively quickly. Within 3 to 6 months, I was pretty fluent in English. And then I had to help my mother sell wigs to Black women in Northeast Oklahoma City. So Paris Fashion Weeks, some people might have remembered, some people may not. And the thing that, and then I had to help my parents to solve any and all problems that arose. So I've been around business and since I was a very young boy, and wanting to open my own business just seemed natural. Then the idea that I'm going to go get a job somewhere just didn't make sense to me. So anyway, I'm just wired different, I suppose. But that's a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of young people are that way also, which is really good.
So how did you go from wigs to record players?
Well, that's a great story. Yeah. So I had a passion for hi-fi, and believe it or not, I was hanging around the car stereo store called Discount Sounds on 16th and MacArthur. And I don't know, it's not there anymore, of course, and I got to really mess with and fool around with and learning how to install car stereos. And I really love car stereos, and it quickly evolved. And that was in, I guess, like when I got my car, I was in 10th grade. And then from there, it went to, I walked into Gramophone at 50 Penn Place back in the day. And I mean, I just fell in love. It's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And I just followed my heart. Every single person around me told me not to do what I'm doing. It's like, you're going to ruin your life. You got to go finish your college. You got to do this. You got to, get married, have a house, it's like at that time I was only 23 years old. And I thought, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to follow my heart. So that's how come I would never discourage anyone who wants to follow their passion, follow their heart. You can make a business of it. You just have to be the best at it. And only way to do that, of course, is you got to be maniacally focused and spend cajillion hours crafting your business and crafting your trade and crafting your skills.
And you learn on the fly. You
learn on the fly, right? So then learning the business, how to make money, takes different set of skills. So I think that at first, just dealing with the technical aspect of whatever business you're in, you really have to be good at that. And then the next layer up is learning how to manage people. Next level up from that would be to how to manage money. And then you got to have a business plan to make it all work. But it's interesting, but never not listen to your heart. Always follow your passion, one foot after the other. I did it. And I would support that notion for anyone.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs and visionaries get told no a lot. I think that's
a lot. And you got to overcome that. I mean, I remember trying to get a bank loan for $50,000 back early in the day, and I got shut. I mean, it was just no after no after no after no after no after no after no. So you just got to stay with it.
Yeah, for sure. So another, myth of the entrepreneur is you start it and you hit the ground running and everything goes smoothly and you live happily ever after. How were your early days?
It's anything but. I mean, you have to be creative. You have to be resourceful. I didn't have much financing, right? So my vendors at that time didn't give me credit. So it was always COD. And it always came in COD in each box. So each box had three components in it. And I remember Roy's his name, my UPS driver. I knew his route and I knew what was in those boxes. And so Roy would let me get the boxes that I need. He would because I didn't have the money to pay for it because it was cash on delivery. And so I had to go get the product, go sell it, get the money from the customer, and then be able to pay Roy. He was my financier. I mean, can you imagine? Having to negotiate? I said, Roy, you got to let me take that. So keep the box where it is. Let me just open the box, take the unit out. Let me go sell it. I'll come back and I'll find you tomorrow, and then you can release it to me. Yes, that happened. That happened. I promise that happened.
I love that story.
Right? That happened. That's crazy. I operated like that for over a year, maybe two.
Did Roy charge you any interest on
No. He was just happy. And then worst case, he had to take it all back and it sat on the shelf at UPS before it got shipped back. And that was a 2-week delay. So that's how long I had. I had 3 opportunities to get it from him, or I had to go down to Reno and 15th Street to go get my COD goods from my vendors. So yeah, that's
get it out of town.
Crazy. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to make it happen. Sure.
You do. So what are some other that's a great notable experience. So other notable experiences you've had as an entrepreneur? I think you have quite a few.
Oh my gosh, I have so many great stories about how it all happened. I think that one of the bigger notables was that during the 80s, many banks were failing. So I think Penn Square failed in 82. The bank that we were working with in Rockwell Bank was the name of the bank. And they failed in 1985 or 6. And so when they failed, we had a little small loan of about $125,000. And it got kicked. So my loan was classified as bad loan. And so the new buyers didn't buy the loan with the bank. And so it literally got kicked out and it was such a small amount. And number two, there were so many banks failing. The FDIC didn't even call me for over a year. It took over 3 years to settle the loan. And by then I was able to actually get a loan from another bank for $75,000. And they were able to give me a little bit of a discount. I remember about 10%. So I had to come up with about 40,000 and then $75,000 loan. And I was able to take out the FDIC. They forgave all the interest. They gave me a little discount. And then I was able to move forward. But those days were crazy. I mean, the fact that the bank failed before we did, and we should have gone out of business. But if it was a healthy bank, they would have just foreclosed on us and said, we're going to come take whatever inventory you got and we're going to shut you out. But that didn't happen.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was interesting.
$125,000 was a small loan for them, but I'm sure it was not a small loan for you.
It might as well have been $100 million, really. I mean, it was huge, right? It was what started. We moved our location from 19th and Portland to Northwest Expressway at 6401 Northwest Expressway. And to get it ready, we had to borrow that money to outfit the space, leasehold improvements, buy some new inventory, and then do all the things that we needed to do to get that space open. But yeah, it was rather crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. So tell us about EOS and how you were introduced to EOS, the results you saw, and how you've gone from audio visual to.
Yes, being a business coach. Thank you. In 2017, I went to a industry trade conference, and they had a guest speaker that spoke about traction in EOS. And I mean, immediately I said, I gotta read the book, and I started to implement the principles in the EOS, and it made a huge difference in how I operated my business. And so after selling Audio Dimensions to the private equity group, I decided that I want to do something that I could help people. And truly, this is a way in which this system, the system works. And so if people will just take the journey and apply the tools that EOS offers, it's just simple way I feel like I've cured a cancer, and I got to get the word out, right? I'm trying to help everybody as to how to make their life better, right? So this is, and really any one tool isn't that complicated. It's really just a whole bundle of simple real world tools that's easy to apply and easy to understand. It's just what makes it complicated is trying to do the whole thing together. That's how come you need someone to help you to implement them one at a time, right? So
yeah, I mean, I've spent a lot of money on business coaching and various things, and I was introduced really to EOS through you, and it's so simple and so actionable. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, maybe some accountability from an implementer, but it really is. But talk to me about, the effect it had in Audio Dimensions. And
there's just simple way in which most businesses, your internal meetings with your staff, you get a great idea, you have a new book you want to read, or you want to implement something new, you have an announcement, you have a new program, you have a new project. But yet what happens is the energy wanes down after a while because it's not consistent. So there's a way in which you can create consistency. Just how you conduct a meeting by having a certain agenda that's easy for everyone to follow. And what's most important is a business owner. I didn't have partners in Audio Dimensions. And so I really wanted to make the employees, everyone involved, more involved, make sure that they have more engagement in everything they said. But I didn't have a system. I didn't have a proven method. I just winged it every single time. And after a while, they're just tired of hearing me talk. So, and then because I would go chase the new shiny thing, and they just wait a week or two and he'll forget about this one and try something else. So that was their strategy. Do nothing for a little while, see how much he really wants me to do this or not. So simply applying some rules and how we conduct meetings, how they are able to voice their opinion, how we conduct dealing with issues, and how we conduct, and then just simply how we cascade messages, so there's just by tweaking on how we met consistently and what projects we were working on, how we did it together, made all the difference in the world. and then actually having monthly and quarterly goals, and so that everybody's focused on that, instead of, again, me coming in one day and saying, hey, we're going to change direction, we're going to go chase this other shiny object. Yeah, so that's.
I love that idea. I'm so guilty of chasing shiny objects. And I think as business owner entrepreneurs, I think that's part of the deal, right? I mean,
Yeah,
big ideas, people, visionaries.
yeah,
Yeah. And so having someone to hold you accountable or just be like, yeah, that's not going to shine forever. We need to not chase that today is helpful, I think.
right.
So how did EOS help raise sales by 30% and raise your bottom line to 24%?
Well, that's a great question. We were a big ticket audio video home automation business, and so when you do a great job, really, we got our core business all came from word of mouth. No one is going to spend $100,000, $200,000 at a time for their big home without a solid referral. And I just think that we were able to execute a lot better. And because I had better engagement with my technicians, I had better input, and they had better voice. They had they had, again, so just getting them more involved helped me to execute our projects better with customers. And then really it was the word of mouth, and then the word of mouth. And some projects could go from 50,000 to 100,000. We've had several projects that were in the $400,000 or $500,000 range, and it doesn't take very many referrals like that to make a big change on the top line. And the bottom line really is about being more efficient too, right? If everyone, by creating systems, we were able to create small bonuses on a weekly basis, believe it or not. So it's one of the things that came out of our weekly meetings, is that how do we keep everybody focused? And by simply measuring, and we have a scorecard for every department, including the technicians. And so we were able to say, if we did this as a group and our payroll was a percentage of that, and if we can do that every single week, I'll give you a percentage of that towards the bonus, and everybody got to split off the bonus. And so we literally had a weekly bonus plan, and everybody was focused on working hard and not having overtime. And so simply by focusing on performance and small bonus plan made a difference. Yeah, absolutely. And again, when the businesses run well, you'd be shocked how much money you can make. It's shocking. I used to think I was a student in business by making 10% of sales to the bottom line, and to think that I could make 24% to the bottom line with a $5 million sales. That's pretty unbelievable. It's actually not very, what's the word? It's not normal even within the audio video business, but it's just, we were able to do that because of our efficiency. Yeah.
Wow, that's really great. Okay, so then you sold it,
Yes.
Which was great. We won't go too far down this road, but the entrepreneur dream is to sell your business for 6 times operating profit, and that was a fantastic experience. Tell me how that went.
Well, the process was actually quite complicated. There were 15 of us, all similar size, all about 5 to anywhere from 4 million to about 7 million in sales, each location from San Francisco all the way down to Miami. So there were 15 audio video stores that came together, and then we legally made ourselves to become one entity. And then the private equity group came and bought all 15 at the same time. So it's a classic roll up. And so, yeah, between accountants, lawyers, and yeah, I mean, it was always, it was pretty arduous. I mean, it was a lot of deep dive, a lot of intense meetings in terms of the due diligence process was brutal. I mean, they wanted to know every single thing about every single thing. It was brutal. But I think that experience is not nearly as notable to me as the experience of selling your business and not knowing what you're going to do next. And so I had a couple of years of, I wonder what I should be doing with the rest of my life. I have too much energy. I have too much, the things that I wanted to do. So I can't just say I'm going to, quote, retire. So business coaching came because I know I wanted to do something that I could, again, understand, know real well, and then be able to help people. So this is what I'm doing. Yeah.
Very good. And so Did you enjoy going from being an entrepreneur to an employee and working for someone else, which is another challenge I think entrepreneurs have?
You know, yeah, they wanted to start rolling out policies to one size fits all for all locations. And, our businesses, it was custom. And, in Oklahoma City, I wanted to take care of my customers in a certain way. And they just said, no, we can't do that. And so, no, we had many disagreements after the close. And so I lasted 11 months. And so we parted ways. It's a very polite way to say I got fired, but I got fired because I was being too vocal about all the changes that they're making that I disagreed with, and all they didn't want to have me around. But it's their prerogative. They paid me enough money. I guess they could get rid of me if they wanted to. So,
but I think it's a real issue for entrepreneurs or business owners that sell their business, and then the new owner has a different idea for what they want it to be, and it's hard. It's really hard to. I think it's hard to stay and work there and watch it happen. I think it's realistic to say it's not uncommon when you sell a business to have to step out of it.
Yeah,
I think it's for them to want the owner to stay for 5 years or so to help with the transition, but I don't think the reality is that works very well.
Not very well. I think that they all have a fixated mind as to what they think the model ought to be. And then it's not how I've been running it for 37 years. And so he wasn't very open to my ideas for whatever reason. So anyway, no, it was difficult transition.
And you're not the only, I've just heard that story from multiple people. So it's worth, touching on as part of the journey.
It is.
Okay. So we talk a lot about imposter syndrome. Have you ever dealt with that? I'm sure starting out young.
Well, in early days, I had a very youthful looking face. I was very blessed with youthful looking face. And so I literally wore a coat and tie. I wore a suit to go sell stereo equipment because I wanted people to take me seriously. And so it wasn't that long ago that I quit wearing a tie to work. And so I'd say less than 15 years before selling the business. I'll bet it was less than 10 years. But now, being a business coach, an imposter syndrome is something that we call it head trash, really, more than anything else. It's self-doubt, can you really do this, and things like that. So again, taking my own advice, you just have to be really good at understanding your own craft, understanding your skill, building your skill, your experience, and then it takes time. It takes time. You gotta, and I'm not wanting to be very patient with myself, right? Really. So I think the imposter syndrome does creep in, and but you just got to overcome it. You just got to say, hey, I'm good enough. Of course I'm good enough. How many businesses have I bought and sold? How many businesses have I run? How many businesses? That's the experience is what they're paying me for. So.
Right. And sometimes I think, at least for me, even if you are a business owner or a coach, sometimes it helps having an outside perspective. Sometimes it's easier to see other people's benefits than it is to see and recognize your own.
Absolutely. We all have them. We all have blind spots. It's hard to see your own behavior and how it's affecting the dynamics around you. It's hard to see it. You really have to have an outside perspective to see. That's why all great athletes have coaches. I don't care who you are. LeBron James has a coach. Tiger Woods has a swing coach. Doesn't matter. You really have to get a third person's perspective as to how you're doing. So even the better you are, I think having a coach definitely helps you to get better and see yourself more objectively. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when I first started Optimize Marketing, I was struggling. I had people coming and using me, but I was still struggling. So, and finally I was like, you know what? I have a marketing team. I think I could pull some people in on this and get some perspective. And so, but I finally had to kind of admit that I needed help. So, which is not one of my favorite things to do. So talk to me about, I know you are a coach now.
Uh-huh.
Previous to that, have you had coaching or peer groups?
Peer groups. Yeah, YPO. I'm in a YPO group, Young Presidents Organization, and I'm in a forum, and there's 8 of us, and it's the same 8 of us, 8 people that's been meeting once a month since 2004. Isn't that crazy? That's a long time.
It
And
is.
so we have a deep level of trust. I can 100% guarantee that they won't speak bad of me in public if they have anything to say. And so we support each other emotionally, but intellectually, we have business problems. We bring it to the group. It could be, especially family issues. The family dynamics are really difficult, and it's really a place where I feel confident that I could share all my thoughts and feelings, and so it's been a wonderful support group for me. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great. So, we may have kind of talked about this, but what do you credit your success the most to?
Oh my, you know, what do I most? We all have a different definition of hard work, right? Um, Hard work is mandatory.
It is.
And it's not just hard work when you want to, it's hard work 7 days a week, right? So a lot of people want to take the shortcut and they want the easy life first and then they want the hard work later. But here's, um, the money will come if you're good, right? So it's a classic line. I've used this before, right? So if I gave you $80 million, could you play like LeBron James?
Yeah.
The answer is the money. No, you can't. He gets paid $80 million a year because guess what? I think he actually gets paid more, but point being, he gets that because he's that good, right? So
Right.
be that person first, and don't think that. So it's really, really understanding your business well, and not just an A level. We're really talking about A plus level. So you got to put the time in. Yeah, you got to put the time in.
So, no playing golf all day long, just eating
No,
bonds.
no. And the sacrifices, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Time is really difficult to. So if you're trying to raise a family and run a business and try to have a social life and all that, I truly didn't even date for first 5 years of my life when I was running my business because I was going to school full time. I was
Oh,
running
wow.
business full time. And I said, I don't have time for a relationship. So I purposely did not seek out to even have a dinner date or hang out with women or girls or that I wanted to see. So I cut it out of my life. So yeah, you have to be focused, and
Yeah.
you have to be focused. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
It's hard work.
It's hard.
Well,
You know,
and I always say, there are days where I'm like, I would just love to go be a Walmart greeter because then
right.
I can just go home and not worry about it, right? But when you're an entrepreneur, it's always there. You bring it home, you bring it, you there are nights you stay up in the middle of the night solving problems. It's always with you.
Here's a little axiom for you, right? Here we go. The only shortcut in life is to know that there isn't one.
Yeah, that's good. I like
So
that.
and I carry that with me for years. It's like, and from a guy who likes to take shortcuts and everything, find a faster, easier, more efficient way to do things. The only shortcut in life is to know that there isn't one.
Right.
That's the shortcut.
That's good. That's really good. Well, you gave advice to entrepreneurs at the beginning, but let's revisit it. If you could give advice to entrepreneurs or people thinking of taking the leap of faith, what would you tell them?
Oof. Um, knowing what I know now, I would say not all businesses pay the same. Okay, so if you have a choice, open your eyes and don't jump into low margin businesses. I mean, you really have to understand that there are businesses out there that have little better margin. Now, it may be a little bit more difficult to get into. It might require more skill, right? But the idea that you just try not to get into a business where the margins are so low, it just becomes harder and harder and harder to make money at that arena. And then within that arena, then trying to create something that's unique so that you can create a higher value, higher margin. I mean, that's really hard. But that's where the business is. That's where the years of working your craft will give you, right? But so I'd say absolutely you have to follow your heart. I did. But if you can help it, open your eyes and don't jump into a low margin business, right?
Yeah, that kind of goes to the whole blue ocean, theory.
Red ocean, blue ocean. Yeah.
Right. The blue ocean has more margin usually because there's fewer
people.
Fewer people, less competition. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's right.
That's very good.
Okay.
All right. So thank you for your time today. Every entrepreneur has a story, and I love yours.
Well, thank you.
So if you have questions, thank you for joining us. You can visit Russel's website at eosworldwide.com/Russel-Kim. There's a lot of information about him there and his coaching business, which is really fantastic and helpful. If you have questions about us, our website is www.optimize.marketing. And thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for telling us your story, Russel. Sorry.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.